everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Please tell me Miguel has musical instruments. Is that what that is?
Yes, Miguel does.
Yes.
Guitar note, guitar note, guitar note.
Yeah.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. Woo woo. And we will be talking about that for shizzy. Great
Which,
to
by
see
the way,
you.
actually, the Wall Street Journal article had a paywall, so I just got another article that talks about it.
Yeah, isn't that really amazing? Let's share educational information, but yeah, you got to pay to read it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's the Wall Street Journal. What do you expect?
This is true. This is true.
They're not the Public Street, journal. They're
Valid.
the Wall Street Journal, yeah.
Valid. So, you guys, first thing I want to talk about, just in case you haven't seen on social media or what have you, next Monday is fucking epic. You can join myself and Mr. Andrew, who will be my hoster with the moster. Is that how you say it?
Hostess with the mostest, right?
Moster.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I think everybody knows what you mean.
So next Monday, and Kami John in the comments, he's one of our guests. Hey. Yes, we have Steven Donziger, we have Lee Camp, we have Chuck Modi, we have Elias coming back. All these wonderful people, and we have people from East Palestine, of course. We have a scientist, PK Diddy, we have Scott C. Smith. He was on a couple weeks ago talking about how he's done 8 visits to East Palestine and done independent water testing. All of this will be, so we have 11 guests, and all of it will be geared towards why we need national improved Medicare for all, and why we need to help these people in East Palestine and surrounding areas. The reason we're doing a fundraiser is because we are a few days more than a month away, which is nothing in organizing time. And we have $825 of our $5,000 goal. So we are at 16.5% of our goal. We need your help. We cannot do that to these people because I've been, working very closely with the people in East Palestine, and they desperately need our help. So we rented a U-Haul. We got that taken care of with the donations we've received so far. Thank you so much. Now we need to fill it. So we're going to East Palestine July 22nd for the rally and mutual aid drop. However, now we're also going Friday, July 21st to do another water drop in Darlington, PA, which is only 7.2 miles from East Palestine. However, yay, state by state, it's ignored because it's Pennsylvania. So I was asked, can you do a water drop for them too? And of course I was like, fuck yeah. These people are still bathing in bottled water. Keep that in mind. Our last donation was 8 days ago. Like, I don't want to tell these people that we couldn't raise money to buy them bottled water. Like, we're doing all we can to help. But throw in $5. $5 buys a whole case of water for a family who is bathing in it. We need help. We're volunteer organizers. We're broke. We have, we have our own bills and everything, and it costs us money to do this shit, but we just are asking for help for the mutual aid part. We're getting it there. What's that?
Oh, this is the link, and Real Progress in Action has the link to.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. Kami will be out joining us in East Palestine. I'm so excited. We've hung out a few times. Andrew, my co-hoster with the moster, he's coming out to East Palestine with me. I'm so excited. He came to DC with us last time. So he's flying out from Boston. We've got people coming from Chicago, Boston, Minnesota, Missouri. I'm coming from Harrisburg. Like, we're coming from all over to try and help these people as much as we can. So it's not cheap to do all this, but we definitely need some help to at least buy these waters and groceries that they need. So anything you could give, please. Seriously, anything. Thank you so much. And off to the stories.
Yes.
And we I had a family emergency last week, so we had to cancel. And I was like, now we have like 100 articles and stuff in our postmortem breakdown DM, and we're like, we don't know what to choose now because so much has gone on. But we've got some gems for you tonight. What's first?
Yeah, so we're just going to start out by talking a little bit about Juneteenth and what it is. So here is just an article, NPR article from a couple years ago, due to the Wall Street Journal having a pay wall because they need the money. So it goes by many names, whether you call it Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, or the country's second Independence Day. Juneteenth is one of the most important anniversaries in our nation's history. On June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger, who had fought for the Union, led a force of soldiers to Galveston, Texas, to deliver a very important message. The war was finally over. The Union had won, and now it had the manpower to enforce the end of slavery. The announcement came 2 months after the effective conclusion of the Civil War, and even longer since President Lincoln had first signed the Emancipation Proclamations. But many enslaved Black people in Texas still weren't free even after that day. That was 156 years ago. Here are the basics of Juneteenth that everyone should know. Gets its name from combining June and 19th, the day that Granger arrived in Galveston bearing a message of freedom for the slaves there. Upon his arrival, he read out General Order Number 3, informing the residents that slavery would no longer be tolerated and that all slaves were now free and would henceforth be treated as hired workers if they chose to remain on the plantations, according to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And so it is perhaps unsurprising that many former slaves did not stay on the plantation as workers and instead left in search of new beginnings or to find family members who had been sold away. It immediately changed the game for 250,000 people. And it did not end on Juneteenth. There had still been 250,000 slaves up to this point. And it was not uncommon for slave owners unwilling to give up free labor to refuse to release their slaves until forced to in person by a representative of the government, right? Which, I'm sure some of that went over well since the representatives of government were also pretty fucking racist. Some would wait until one final harvest was complete, and some would just outright refuse to submit. It was a perilous time for Black people, and some former slaves who were freed or attempted to get free were attacked and killed. Do you want me to read more? Or is that good?
No, that's good. That's a really good synopsis. I think, when looking, I mean, this is huge. This should be a holiday. But I think at the same time, we shouldn't use it to, be like, oh, things are like fixed now because that, stopped. Technically, people of color or Black and brown people are still enslaved in certain respects, as though having a joint and going in prison for like 3 years for it, like, how is that not being enslaved? It's,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think there's to imply it's full freedom is false. And I think a lot of white people, especially around this holiday, don't understand why it should be a holiday and think that it kind of counteracts things that have been done wrong to them. What do you think? What is your take, like, just seeing the responses online and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people are using this to try and say that it's competition with the 4th of July. Like it's meant to cause racial divide and make people hate the 4th of July. I believe Charlie Kirk tweeted that out either today or yesterday.
Can he tell us off the top of his head what 4th of July is, what it stands for?
Probably not.
Why people celebrate it? Yeah, I'm guessing no.
Right. And 86 Blackberry White is saying that Charlie Kirk, the right-wing snowflake, said that Juneteenth is a holiday, that it is used an excuse to be racist towards white people, right? So that's another thing. I think a lot of people are trying to say, oh, this is so divisive. And it's like, yeah, slavery was fucking divisive, right? But in their mind, divisive is if you are challenging anything or daring to say that collectively white people have done some pretty horrible things throughout the history of this country. Actually, from the very beginning, from 1492 onward, in this whole, North America, South America, like a whole Western world.
Well, it's like it's usually the same people who have an issue with Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. But anyway, it's usually the same people, and it's like, we wouldn't need a Black History Month if Black historians were taught. That's the fucking point. I never learned about people like Frederick Douglass or Malcolm X or anyone in high school. Are you kidding me?
I did learn about Booker T. Washington. However, people love to spew up conservatives.
Yes. Yeah, it's bananas. Show me where this holiday hurt you, please. Like, give me a break. It's one day for like how many years of being enslaved. I think you can handle it. Like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's why, that's the so-called issue with reparations. If reparations did pass, these people will lose their fucking minds. They'll be like, it's a race war, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you're fucking privileged. Like that, you know what I mean? Like they're looking for reasons to be offended. What's Connie saying?
Connie John says, in a position of white privilege, equality looks like oppression.
No question. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up too, because we're talking about in this article how it was slaves were freed, right? Enslaved individuals were freed, but it's always important to remind people that there are some exceptions when it comes to involuntary servitude, right? And so I know it can be a little hard to see, but this is a screenshot of Lee Carter saying, this Juneteenth, while we celebrate the end of most slavery in the United States, let's remember that this is still the only country in the world whose constitution explicitly says that slavery can still be legal under certain circumstances. It's long past time to fix the 13th. And in that section 1, it says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been dully convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Yeah. And of course, we have the highest incarceration rates.
And highest recidivism rates.
And highest recidivism rates. So,
I don't know if you guys saw this. About 2 years ago, I broke a story because I had two people who were whistleblowers reach out to me anonymously about how in California they were using prisoners, who they say are criminals, even though it was like drug possession or nonviolent shit. They were using prisoners to fight the California wildfires. They're not firemen, but they were using them. And they would use them under the guise that they would get a year taken off their time. Well, the spouses of these gentlemen who these women came to be about, they were getting they weren't even being told. They were just logging in and checking their their account, their prison account, on updates and stuff. And these people got 2 years added onto their sentences. Why? It was more profitable to keep them there and keep them working to fighting those fires. So not only did they not get less time, they got time added for risking their fucking lives. How is that not slavery? That's fucking slavery. That's literally, and you know what? Contracts seemed to disappear. They were nowhere to be found.
Of course.
So fucked
up. So Melanie Dennis says the rich around the world are trying to force fascism on us. They want slaves to keep feeding their greed and need for power.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of being rich and having a lot of power, this is actually a good segue into our next topic. And so if any of you follow baseball, you may have heard that it is looking like it is very likely that the Oakland Athletics will be moving to Nevada, particularly Las Vegas, which is kind of sad because I really like the movie Moneyball. I thought it was a great movie. And, they were a little scrappy little team, but I think now they get on average 5,000 fans that come. Well, recently, actually, there have been a lot more fans who have been coming, to my knowledge, and they've been shouting, "Sell the team." So it's a really rough.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was in elementary school and middle school, I was obsessed with Jose Canseco. I'm not even gonna fucking lie. I had this nylon jacket with a full picture of him and Oakland A's. I had t-shirts, I had his baseball cards, I had a hat. I was gonna marry that dude in my mind. I was gonna marry him.
He was one of the worst people to
I know, he still is.
Yeah, he still is. Yeah, so for context for people who don't follow baseball, Jose Canseco, so you may have heard that there was the whole steroid era, which really happened in the 90s, early 2000s until they started cracking down. There are still players who cheat, but they're more creative about it, but it wasn't really enforced. But one of the huge reasons why the steroid era caught on is because Jose Canseco just started kind of going up to players and being like, yo, this is going to help you hit home runs. He just started passing out steroids willy-nilly. And then when, of course, MLB started cracking down and being like, wait, the fact that we regularly have players hitting 50 and 60 home runs when literally the record a few years ago was 62 home runs, and now we have people a couple players regularly beating those records. There's something weird. So Jose Canseco, who passed out all these steroids, actually ratted out so many of the players that he gave these steroids to and wrote a book about it. So, yeah.
That's like If I Did It, part 2.
I mean, yeah. And Rob Baxter says Bud Selig overlooked at it because it put butts in the seats. It sure did.
You got it.
Sure did. It was, I mean, I will admit it was an exciting time in baseball. Even though it was fundamentally fraudulent time in baseball.
Well, just so everyone knows, I took my 82-year-old dad to a Harrisburg Senators game yesterday, and we lost 8-0. And got sunburned as fuck.
So more people need to do roids on the Harrisburg
Senators.
Yeah, that's what you're telling me.
That's the point.
They clearly didn't hit any home runs if they didn't score any runs. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't take steroids.
Exactly. They made it on first and second twice. And did so, I'm told. I can't see the game. That's why I'm not fun to go with. Because I'm like, who was it? Who just hit that? What team are they on? Wait, are they on first or second? Wait, what inning is it? Wait, is it the bottom or the top? Or is it, wait, what's going on? And everyone's just like, I'm like, I can't see, I can't help it.
I like minor league games, though. They're fun. Because people know nobody knows who the players are, and so they try and do things like in the middle of the inning to keep you entertained. It's it's kind of has like a little,
I mean, I don't know who the players are, but there was a guy named Dylan Dingler, so I was like totally team Dingler. I was like Dirk Dingler, yeah, man.
Yeah. So. I know we went a little off topic, but I just wanted to point this out because I think even if you're not a sports fan, this is a perfect example of how so many resources go to billionaires on the state level in this instance. So Senate passes A's stadium bill, sends measure to Assembly. The state Senate voted 13-8 on Tuesday to pass the A's stadium bill, sending the measure to the Assembly and giving the clearest signal yet that lawmakers could approve up to $380 million in public dollars to help construct a new Major League Baseball stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. And so, the rest of the article just goes in and says, like, specifically what state legislators voted for it and didn't, and likely you don't know who the names are unless you live there, right? And even if you do, you might not, because, state politics by design is kind of, hard to follow because this shit happens, right? And people don't want you to know that this shit is happening. But I wanted to also bring forth the fact that, there have been studies done on like sports stadiums even help the surrounding area, right?
Yep.
Because a lot of people I think one of the biggest things that people might say to try and justify the fact that public $380 million of public dollars are being paid for the stadium for a rich billionaire who's not giving any of his own money to create this stadium is, it's going to help this city. It's going to help the economy. Well, there's been a lot of studies done, and I'll try and even pull up an example that say, although in the short term, they create construction jobs, right? There's actually no lasting sustainability that these stadiums create, right? Because sure, you have a lot of people coming in for the entertainment, but is it really actually providing more dollars coming in? No, it's just, if that stadium wasn't there, the people would just frequent the other surrounding areas.
Yeah,
right?
like it's fucking Las Vegas, okay? Yeah. People are gonna go regardless. Right. They're not hurting.
It's the same idea of like building a casino, right? People pay the businesses in the casino, and a lot of times the surrounding areas actually struggle because less people are actually coming. It's the same type of thing. And so, and it's insulated. None of these resources really go back into the city. It's just the stadium gets in the team, right? So as much as I love baseball and I love following it, if we're going to look at it, if it's actually benefiting the community, my opinion would be, and based on what a lot of other studies have said, is that it doesn't. And this Econ Review Berkeley is saying the average stadium generates $145 million per year, but none of this revenue, here, I'll bring it up just so everybody can see this. The average stadium generates $145 million per year, but none of this revenue goes back into the community. As such, the prevalent idea among team owners of socializing the costs and privatizing the profits is harmful and unfair to people who are forced to pay for a stadium that will not help them, right? And that's exactly what is happening. They're using this example for the Atlanta Falcons' new stadium, which is a whole other example, right? But these things, this is not the first time these things have happened. They will continue to happen. So
the other thing is, this is probably a moot point because it's Las Vegas. But, other things to think about, too, is the disruption it causes the neighborhoods around it. Like, when you think about other things, like, it's kind of a different topic, but on the same thing, look at Cop City. Yeah. Atlanta didn't get a vote. They got turned down. They didn't want Cop City. It went anyway. And it's affecting every single person around it. They don't get a say. Well, same things with things like this. Like, I'm from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I was born and raised there almost 30 years. And we had Bethlehem Steel. And you know what they did? They fucking tore that shit down and put a casino right there. We didn't have a say. We didn't have a say. It didn't matter. They just did it.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just unfathomable. 380 million of tax. And again, this is actually the taxpayers' money because it's the state.
Because it's state. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So does that mean they're going to be like the Las Vegas Athletics or something?
That's what I was thinking, and that's just a terrible name.
It really is.
Like, I hope that, I mean, and again, I actually made a comment of this on Facebook, right? And so, of course, official people talking there. But one, I said, I was like, they really should change the name. And someone was like, but they were the Philadelphia Athletics before. They've been the Athletics for a while in reiterations. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. But I don't know. The Las Vegas, I mean, at that point, names change, right? My favorite team, the Cleveland Guardians, right?
I knew you were going to say something about the Indians.
Of course, yeah. They changed their name. They were the Indians for what, 100 years? No, probably. Well, something like that. Yeah, a little bit more. And they changed their name, and of course, there were a lot of 85-year-old men who were extremely upset about it, and were like, "Oh, I'll never go to another game." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, you're going to games still. Like, shut up."
Yeah, exactly. So, look at those 8 tattoos you have of the fucking Indians. You're still going to games. Shut the fuck up.
You're not gonna just like.
I'm cleaning my house. I'm throwing out my garbage can, my clock. I'm throwing out everything. I'm done.
I'm gonna cover up all my tattoos. All right. So yeah, that is that. And now on to the National Nurses United. Do you want me to read this article, Joy? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. So, National Nurses United, the nation's largest union of registered nurses with nearly 225,000 members nationwide, today announced its endorsement of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for a second term. President Biden, VP Harris took decisive life-saving action at the very start of their term when their administration confronted the deadly global pandemic, said NNU President Zanae Trumpo-Cortez. Sorry if I mispronounced that. They have championed nurses' rights to organize and fight collectively for safe patient care conditions. They have led the way in pushing Congress to pass critical legislation that protects public health and safety. Nurses have their back in 2024 because when we look at their track record, we can see that they have ours. You want me to keep going?
No, now we can go on to, well, okay, so yeah, let's touch on that first. NNU, who was hardcore Bernie both times. Why? Because they said we would only ever endorse candidates who support Medicare for all. That was their thing for the past 6 years. Apparently now that's changed. And they're lying. They're not even like, yeah, we'll endorse him because he's the nominee. They're lying. They're saying he's good for unions. He's good. COVID. What the fuck did he have to do with COVID? He didn't even give people fucking stimulus. What the fuck did he do? What are you even talking about? Like, has he given people in East Palestine or Flint 1881A? Fuck no. Has he given people Medicare for all? No, he said he'd veto it. Has he done fucking shit? He didn't even give people a stupid fucking public option he campaigned on, which is still garbage. There's over 50 million people who are uninsured and millions more who are underinsured. Over 30 million people just lost their fucking SNAP last month. He doesn't do shit. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't act like you care about patients. Don't act like you care about what people want. You're fucking frauds. And I was so disgusted when I saw this. I was just like, holy fuck. I mean, of all the unions that, and as a union fucking class traitor, fuck you. Seriously. And then we have another one that also endorsed Biden and Kamala on the same exact day.
The General Board of the AFL-CIO voted this morning to endorse Biden and Harris for re-election in 2024. Earliest presidential endorsement vote in their history. Should I play the video or?
It's pretty sickening, but yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Let's watch it.
Working people got Joe Biden elected in 2020, and he has spent the past 3 years delivering for workers and our unions.
He's created good union jobs with the American Rescue Plan and the infrastructure bill. He's protected workers' pension. He's lowered the cost of prescription medication.
And he knows right now, workers are ready to seize this once-in-a-lifetime moment in front of us.
The choice to join a union is up to the workers, full stop. And there should be no intimidation, no coercion, no threats, no anti-union propaganda.
Joe Biden believes in worker power. He believes in organizing.
And we believe in him.
It's time to finish the job together.
It's our privilege on behalf of the AFL-CIO
to endorse Joe Biden and
fuck you, class traitors. Like, it disgusts me that they endorse them, but it disgusts me even more that they're legit lying. He's had unions' backs. Railroads staff would actually like a word. What the fuck unions has he helped? Yeah. Oh, he's lowered prescription drugs. That was Bernie twat waffle. I have more than enough issues with Bernie, but that was Bernie who did that. It was just like a month or two ago. So disgusting. What the fuck has he done about Amazon? What the fuck is he doing about UPS? Oh, he's, I'm going to stop union busting tactics. Like, what are you even talking about? It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like you don't have to endorse. Like you're not obligated to endorse.
No,
anyone.
you're not.
Yeah, it's no secret. Republicans are not pro-labor. It's pretty clear. But you can withhold your endorsement for demands of some sort, or you could just say, no, we're not. We have so many on the ground things to focus on that we're not going to focus on the electoral politics in that way.
And a year in advance. Like, you can't even wait till the nominee is announced, which is bad enough. Like,
right. And yeah, there's he's being challenged by some primary people, right? On the Democratic side, even. So yeah, there's so many reasons why would you do it this early? And at the very least, you would think. I mean, my question is, did they even meet with Biden? Did they discuss what they need and what they want, right? Because that is pretty common thing to do if you're going to endorse someone, to meet with them and say, this is what I want you to do, and I'll endorse you at the very bare minimum, right? And who knows, maybe they did, and maybe their demands were very weak, or maybe he just kind of nodded and said, who knows? But the fact
I'm sure they didn't. But remember a couple months ago, we covered that the biggest union in New Hampshire said that they will not endorse Biden because of his union lack of union support. And then the articles were also saying Biden may have to forfeit New Hampshire because of this. But they don't care. They're like, oh yeah, he's the fucking champ.
Yeah.
But then if you want to show the next thing I sent, let's have a huge ass party in Philadelphia for Biden and Kamala, because hell yes.
So many different things. Give me 1 second.
I'm
party also in Philly, right? Okay, concerned citizen. Let's go.
You know, I really wish I knew about this fucking shindig with Joe and Kamala, because I would have gone outside.
All right, here we go.
I've protested Biden before. It was fun. So that's what was happening at the same exact time in Philadelphia, that Joe and Kamala were partying it up. That's one of several tanks that was going around the fucking city.
Wow.
Fucking weird. Why the fuck are those going around the city in Philadelphia, and the president and vice president happen to be in the city at the same exact moment?
Right.
That's fucking weird. What don't we know? Because that's fucking strange. It's creepy.
So, speaking of unions, we've talked about the UPS drivers before. Just wanted to give a quick update. And so some developments have happened. UPS drivers officially vote to authorize a strike. Shortly after officially receiving air conditioning and heat regulations in trucks. Great. That's okay. That's good, because people were literally passing out and having heat strokes last summer due to them not having those things. UPS drivers have officially voted to go on strike. 97% of drivers in the Teamsters Union voted in favor of the motion. Now the UPS Teamsters National Negotiating Committee is able to call a strike if the union is unhappy with the deal that UPS ultimately presents. Just a reminder, this union represents over 340,000 UPS drivers and warehouse workers, and their contract is expiring July 31st, right?
So, did you say 97%?
Yeah. So essentially,
Wow.
it's great. And essentially what it means is that 97% of people voted to say this is an option, right? So that's, again, they haven't gone on strike yet, but now they have the ability to because they voted on that.
Yep.
Right. And just a reminder, it's going to be a shit ton of people on strike if it does happen. And you can expect so many different articles talking about how the economy is going to be disrupted, right? They did the same thing when it came to the railroad strikers, right?
Yep.
They're going to be saying, oh, people are going to have trouble getting their mail, right? And just a reminder that these are the conditions that they have been fighting up against, and that it is with good reason.
So we have to keep that in mind with class solidarity. They deserve to strike, and they have serious concerns that are very valid. So let's not ship things UPS and have a hissy fit when they don't get here within the amount of time we want it, because that puts more pressure on UPS to say, shut the fuck up and come back to work or you're fired. So we need to actually withhold our business from UPS until these people get what they deserve.
Also, chances are it's not if your package doesn't come in good amount of time, it's not the fault of the UPS driver. They've got their route every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something else that happened before the package even got to them,
Like
so
a
I think
UPS driver passing out.
Or them passing out. But I think that's something I always have to remind myself of, is that, if there is a problem, the person who you always talk to by design has no power in the situation, right?
Absolutely.
So, and of course, they're the one who always takes the hit for those things. So, yeah. And I know, Joy, so you did a poll. When do you want me to run the poll or show results for the poll?
Oh, we can show it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I ran a poll.
Okay.
So because we're going to be talking about the tree of life, as pretty much all of you know, I'm in Pennsylvania. And I think I saw Whoopty somewhere in here. But I am going to be 100% honest. I did not know my state still had the death penalty.
Oh.
I didn't, because I haven't heard of it in so many moons. I'm against it, but I only hear about it in certain states. I haven't heard about my state even like proposing it with anyone in so many years. So I'm embarrassed. I didn't even know it was still an option in PA. But the guy who killed all those people at Tree of Life, he was found guilty last week, and he is, at sentencing time, he does have a possibility of getting the death penalty. So I wanted to ask some of my followers, do you support the death penalty? And as you can see, the majority said no. And the interesting thing is, and I'm not sure if some were trying to be funny or tongue in cheek or what have you, but the ones that say it depends, I swear it seemed like all of them were saying if it's politicians, guillotine. It seemed like that was like pretty much all the comments I saw as far as it depends. But I do understand when someone has faced something horrific themselves and they wanted for closure. I'm not saying that's how I feel, but I do, like, I can have sympathy for that. But myself, I I don't believe in it. Andrew, is that something you believe in?
No, I don't believe in the death penalty.
Yeah.
Especially because I remember reading Brian Stevenson's book, Just Mercy. And when you look, and I'm not fresh on the statistics, but when you look at the statistics of the amount of people who are put on death row, when it later comes out that they actually were innocent, or even if it was just like someone just suffered from PTSD in the war and like didn't even intend on killing somebody, but they had like a flashback, right? Like people have gotten the death penalty for that. And so,
or mental illness. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially for mental illness, right? And so, no, I do not support it one bit.
I think about Emmett Till. Like I think about, things like that. Like I don't know. And like, to be honest, like, it's so crazy when people get the death row, they like still sit in prison for like 20 years on death row. Like, it's so fucking strange. It's not like it happens immediately. So then people try to get a stay, and during that stay, new information comes out that can very well exonerate them, or it's absolutely crazy. I don't understand. You killed someone, so we're going to kill you. I don't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, so Emmett Till was a whole other thing of just people brutally. The woman who was in charge of actually claiming that Emmett Till was like flirting with her at the store, like recently died.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Rest in piss.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about that too.
We did.
She lived a really long life.
Yeah, must be nice.
So, do you want me to bring up the whole Pittsburgh synagogue story?
Yeah, if you want to bring it up and just read the beginning, to give, in case people haven't followed what happened last week with the trial.
Okay. Massacre moves to penalty phase. What to know? October 27, 2018, a gunman walked into the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh and killed 11 people who had gathered to worship. It is considered the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in the nation's history. 4.5 years later, the man accused of carrying out the massacre had been found guilty in federal court, convicted of all 63 charges, including dozens of hate crimes and civil rights offenses. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty in the next phases of trial, which are expected to span about 6 weeks. Will determine whether the defendant, Robert Bowers, will face execution. The jury will have to determine whether Mr. Bowers is eligible for the death penalty for the crimes he's been convicted of. Then after a phase of the trial that will most likely be dominated by the testimony about Mr. Bowers' mental health and life history, as well as the testimony about the lives of the people killed and wounded in an attack, the jury will decide whether or not he will be sentenced to death.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And
I wonder if they're going to show this on TV.
You what?
I wonder if they're going to show it on TV.
Yeah, they might. That was 2018. Wow.
That is crazy, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
I'm sure he's been detained.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It always is a reminder how long it takes for these cases to like be tried.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and that's the thing too, right? This guy looks like he's 100% guilty, right?
Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit. But then you think about the people who are innocent and who it takes forever for their cases to be heard in court, and it's like, at that time they're not really, oftentimes, depending on what they're being accused of, right? They're not free.
Yep.
They're being detained often, so it's just that just shows me right there. Even though in this case, it's like, yeah, this person definitely did it. It does make you think about other cases where it's not as clear cut like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as you know, it's been a little bit. There's been a lot of COVID security. COVID protections have been scaled back, right? And I think no matter where you live, right, rent this past few years has gone up a tremendous amount. Prices of homes have gone up a tremendous amount, right? And so, as you can imagine, eviction filings are 50% higher than they were pre-pandemic in some cities as rents rise.
Where you at, Corey Bush? Where you at?
Yeah, exactly. Entering court using a walker, a doctor's note clutched in his hand, 70-year-old Dana Williams, who suffers serious heart problems, hypertension, and asthma, pleaded to delay eviction from his 2-bedroom apartment in Atlanta. Although sympathetic, the judge said state law required him to evict Williams and his 25-year-old daughter, Demai Williams, in April because they owed $8,348 in unpaid rent and fees on their $940 a month apartment. They've been living in limbo ever since. They moved into a dilapidated Atlanta hotel room with water dripping through a bathroom ceiling, broken furniture, and no refrigerator or microwave. But at $275 a week, it was all they could afford on Williams' $900 monthly Social Security check and the $800 his daughter gets bi-weekly from a state agency as her father's caretaker. I really want to be here by the time his birthday comes in August, Demai Williams said. For his health, it's just not right. The Williams family is among millions of tenants from New York State to Las Vegas who have been evicted or face imminent eviction. After a lull during the pandemic, eviction filings by landlords have come roaring back, driven by rising rents and a long-running shortage of affordable housing. Most low-income tenants can no longer count on pandemic resources that have kept them housed, and many are finding it hard to recover because they haven't found steady work on their wages, haven't kept pace with the rising cost of rent, food, and other necessities. And so protections have ended. The federal moratorium is obviously over, and emergency rental assistance money has dried up in most places. Among the hardest hit are Houston, where rates are 56% higher in April, 50% higher in May, and Minneapolis-St. Paul rates rose 106% in March, 55% in April, and 63% in May. Nashville was 35% higher, Phoenix 33% higher in May. Rhode Island was up 32% in May.
Kami John, you hear that shit about your state? 105? Damn. Holy fuck. I'm gonna share that article on Twitter and be like, Corey Bush, where the fuck you at? Why aren't you sitting on the steps for this?
Jenna says, make your block ungentrifiable. That's an interesting conversation. Like what to do to make it ungentrifiable? I mean, I don't know. That makes me think. Like, what can you do to make it so that, I don't know. Curious to hear. Why is Kami John in Michigan?
I think he's Minnesota.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'm close to MI. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about that topic, except it's.
I really hope someone set up that dude a GoFundMe. Like, I really do. But the thing is, even if he can raise the $8,000, he has to go back to that fucking piece of shit. Like,
right.
Landlord? Right. Like, is anyone else going to charge him that only $925? Like,
Yeah, no, it definitely is like this everywhere. That's what Kami John says. Yeah, some places worse than others, but I think everywhere people will say that it's rising astronomically where they are. And
you know what's so fucked up? The papers and news stations that do these articles, they're like, I'm going to exploit you and share your story in my thing, and then but we're not going to help you. How about saying I'm going to give you $500 for this interview? How about saying I'm going to, buy you guys food for this interview? Like, yes, they're bringing awareness, but because it's self-serving.
Yeah. So, guess we'll talk about RFK now. And so this is Jordan Sheraton saying it's truly mind-blowing. So many people buy the complete delusional BS RFK Jr. is selling. His latest gem, chemicals in kids' water, are turning them trans.
Will turn into fully.
I've seen.
All right. Yeah, and of course he's talking to Jordan Peterson, which should tell you enough about how this conversation is going to go. All right, here we go.
The climate apocalypse use fear to induce something approximating the same kind of level of tyranny, as far as I'm concerned, that characterized the vaccine lockdown. Help me sort that out and understand where you stand.
I see these huge levels of depression and despair, loneliness in kids. And I don't think that there's a single cause to it. And I think blaming it on, depression about climate is probably oversimplistic. And in fact, I think a lot of the problems we see in kids, and particularly boys, it's probably underappreciated that how much of that is coming from chemical exposures, including a lot of the sexual dysphoria that we're seeing. They're swimming through a soup of toxic chemicals today, and many of those are endocrine disruptors. There's atrazine throughout our water supply. Atrazine, by the way, if you in a lab put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will chemically castrate and forcibly feminize every frog in there, and 10% of the frogs, the male frogs, will turn into fully viable females able to produce viable eggs. If it's doing that to frogs, it could. There's a lot of other evidence that it's doing it to human beings as well.
So many things to talk about here. First of all, his fans are fucking rabid. Seriously, they're Yang fans. They're fucking hardcore. If you criticize him, watch the fuck out. I'm just telling you guys right now, it is chaos. So, first of all, people are like, he's not saying it makes them trans. How the fuck is he not saying that's making them trans? What the fuck are you talking about? Stop trying to twist yourself into pretzels to fucking defend this absolute fruitcake. So imagine that. But also, let's talk about on a policy point, as someone who's actually running for president, did he say, this is bad and I don't support this, here's what we need to do to rectify it? No, he fucking didn't. Go to his website. I'm telling you guys, there is not one single policy listed. Not one. And that's because he has no foundation. It's just random shit all the fucking time. And there's no consistency, which makes it convenient to not have any platform on your damn website. What do you think, Andrew? He said mostly boys. Have you chemically been castrated, as he says?
Not to my knowledge. Nope.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So by his thinking, I think I don't know. Like, does that mean people in East Palestine and Flint, there are going to be a lot of trans children because they're drinking jacked up water? Like, what is the climate apocalypse? Mind blown. I can't. Dude gets fucking weirder every day. People are calling him Alex Jones 2.0. I think he's like beyond that. Like, they're both fruitcakes, but I think he's like his own separate, special kind of fruitcake.
Yeah, I mean, it bothers me that whenever he is forced to talk about policy, right? From some people in the indie space, right? When they ask him like very specific questions on his thoughts on things, it's very interesting to me that oftentimes he's like, oh, I don't know, I'll have to get back to you on that, or I don't really have the details, right? And of course, you're not going to know everything. You're not going to be an expert on everything when you're running for something. And I think it is telling that throughout a lot of his life, he hasn't really had to think about these things, right? And so it's just showing kind of where his headspace is at. And it's really just sort of when it comes to jabs, he's put in a lot of thought about that. And this theory he has here, right? And because of that, some people believe, oh, he's anti-establishment, until you hear about his position on like Israel, very establishment, where he says he basically says that Israel has not meant to kill any civilians, has not intentionally done that, and that we need to continue to give a lot of support to them when they continue to do what they're doing, right? So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about him. He's a legacy child, and that's that.
Can we not have fucking dynasties? Can we just not do that? Like, can people who haven't, who have no relatives that have been elected, please be the people who run? Because, like, he already has fans because he's a Kennedy. And it's like, yeah, but he's also a fucking mess.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is interesting where his Kennedy relatives are kind of like, oh yeah, we don't agree with a lot of this, right? Which, whatever. All right, what we have to wrap up with. I know we have one thing that you wanted to touch on. So Retro Coast. Let me just pull this up here. There it is. All right. One more click. Breaking. Biden administration quietly drops all charges against Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto founder who stole $4 billion and gave half of it to Democrat candidates, is now free as a bird.
Ain't that something?
This is false. 5 charges were deferred to a future trial and 8 charges remain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good catch. That must have just been added.
Yeah, according to ABC News. We'll just open this up just to make sure we're sharing the information.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I like that Twitter has that feature now.
It is useful. It is useful. All right. Yeah, so now this is an ABC News article saying that Do you know who that person was, though, who tweeted that? I've never heard of that person.
No.
Okay. U.S. offers to... Sorry, let me pull this up now. Computer's getting a little tired because it's old as fuck. U.S. offers to drop some charges for now against Sam Bankman-Fried. Federal prosecutors in New York said they would drop several criminal charges, at least for now, against disgraced crypto executive Sam Bankman-Fried if the judge agrees to try him later on those charges. The offer to sever 5 of the 13 charges following a ruling earlier this week in the Bahamas that allows Bankman-Fried to challenge the additional charges. Prosecutors said that during a hearing Thursday, it was uncertain when the Bahamas would decide whether or not to consent to the new charges, which include bank fraud and allegation of Bankman-Fried by the Chinese. Severing those counts seems to be appropriate given the developments of the Bahamas this week. Bankman-Fried, who has pleaded not guilty, is scheduled to stand trial in October. Rain said that prosecutors would not proceed with the new charges unless the government of the Bahamas consented. Okay.
So let's first talk about the dude's name. Bankman? Is that his first name? Bankman?
I think so. Or is that his last? Sorry, his first name is Sam, then he's Bankman-Fried. You there? I think we lost Joy, or maybe you lost me. I don't know. Can everybody hear me? Let me see. Of course, we're going to have technical difficulties. Okay, looks like
That's
I'm
really
on.
weird.
Huh?
Weird. We talk about some rich dude, and all of a sudden, oops, sorry, our stream stopped working.
I know, right?
Yeah, where's my tinfoil hat?
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Silky smooth, Barry White voice. All right, I'll take that. Yeah, now the comments are coming up. I guess the comments were a little delayed too, because now everybody's like, "Oh, she's frozen. You're on." Thank you. I'm glad you all hear me. I'm glad that I feel heard. That means a lot to me that my voice is heard. I will not be silenced. And those chemicals are not going to get to me. So
Dun dun dun.
Yes,
but you can start laying eggs, which would be kind of fucking amazing, and you would make a lot of money.
Yo, put me in Ripley's if I start laying eggs. Front cover.
Andrew,
Do I still have Ripley's?
Oh my god! And what if they came out like fucking Easter eggs, like tie-dye rainbow ones? Sorry, it's the damn water in Boston.
Sorry, it's the water. Yeah, but the Boston Harbor, you made me do
Boston Harbor, their water is all jacked up. It's wicked awesome, though. And we have the funny to close out, obviously. And man, is this a gem.
All right. Getting to our funny. All right.
It's one of those if we don't laugh, we'll cry funnies.
Yeah, I've actually never seen this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Oh, yeah.
You got to share it.
All right. God save the Queen, man.
Play it again.
All right. God save.
Oh my God.
More like God help us. Oof.
Yeah. Like, okay, you're a Sex Pistols fan. That's cool. But like, what the fuck? And then the White House. Some audience. I don't know. In America.
Was it even in the UK?
No, he was in America.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, he was totally in the US. And the fucking White House is like, well, he met with the Queen of England and blah blah blah, and like an article came out and that was 5 years ago. Like, chick is dead. What do you mean he met with her? Like,
Right.
God save the Queen. Like, what the fuck is he even talking about?
Yeah.
Bananas.
Not great.
He's a damn mess. It's elder abuse. Definitely elder abuse. Well, what do you have coming up?
Well, got to share the Medicare for All East Palestine one again.
Dude, this
fundraiser.
is going to be so rad, you guys. I am so excited. Like, all these people like got back to me immediately and were like, yes. So, and you know, like Lee, he's been with us 3 years. He's always supported us. Steven Donziger, he's been on our show probably 3 times. Chuck Modi, I've probably had on my show 5 times. Elias, I've probably had 20 times. Like, these people are like, you know, these people are comrades. And then, you know, these people from East Palestine, they're people I've spoken with before. And I just couldn't be more excited. I can't wait for people to have a sit down discussion and really see what people are going through. Because, yeah, I'm going to say it again. Who's talking about this shit? Like, seriously, it's insane. And it's been almost 5 months. So it wasn't sexy to people to begin with, and now it's really not sexy. But oh well, I'm going to keep talking about it because it's fucking important and people are hurting. So
yeah.
Yes, if you can donate, please, please, please. I don't care if it's $5. $5 is a case of water. These people need our help. We've already rented a U-Haul. We need to fill it. We are doing 2 U-Hauls worth of water and also groceries. We need help. These people need our help. So we're doing the work, but we need the funds to do it, and we're only a month away, and we are at 17% of our goal. I don't want to disappoint these people. I really don't. I don't even want to think about that. So yeah, anything you guys can chip in, please also share the info. This is a really big deal. These 11 people are giving us their time to share their experience, their thought, and really, you know, dive deep into this and what needs to happen. So thank you guys so much for watching. We love you to pieces. We appreciate it. And smash that like button, smash subscribe. Savage Joy Marie Mann also on Rockfin and YouTube. YouTube took away like 1 billion of my, not 1 billion, but like thousands of my subscribers.
You are getting close to being 1,000 on YouTube, though.
Yeah, but it's
you're 7 away,
dude. I'm literally over 5,000 on Rockfin.
I know. I'm just saying, you're 7 away from 1,000, which you know what that means.
I have 25,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah, but 1,000 is a milestone.
And almost 1,000 subscribers. Yes.
You're almost monetized.
Oh, fuck that. No, because you still have to get X amount of views, and then like they have all these like algorithm bullshit things, and like I ain't worried about that. I just want to feel like what I'm doing matters. But it matters to me.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will probably go live again some point this week, but definitely mark your calendars for Monday because this shit is going to be amazing. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern because we got a whole lot of guests. All right, guys, much love.